My grandfather humiliated my 9-year-old son in front of our entire family, but what happened next exposed a secret he'd been hiding for years. My son Ethan had just turned 9. My wife and I rented a private room at a family restaurant, ordered pizza, hung up decorations, and invited everyone over. It wasn't a huge party, but Ethan was excited, and honestly, that's all that mattered. Then my grandfather Walter arrived, late. The moment he walked through the door, I noticed the same smug smile he always wore when he thought he was the center of attention. For years, everyone knew Walter had favorites. My cousin Lisa's kids were treated like royalty. New bikes, phones, gaming consoles, expensive birthday gifts. Meanwhile, Ethan usually got a card, a handshake, or nothing at all. I hated it, but Ethan never complained. When it was finally time to open presents, everyone gathered around the gift table. Ethan was smiling as he opened gift after gift. Then Walter stepped forward. "This one's from Great-Grandpa," he announced proudly. Ethan's face lit up. Walter handed him a small box wrapped in bright paper. Ethan carefully opened it. Inside was an old toy car, rusty, scratched, and missing one wheel. For a second, the room went silent. Then Walter started laughing. Lisa laughed too. A few relatives joined in. Walter pointed at the toy car. "Kids today have too many expensive toys," he said. "I figured this one would teach him gratitude." More laughter followed. Ethan stared at the broken car. He looked confused, but even then, he forced a smile. "Thank you, Great-Grandpa. That should have been the end of it." Instead, Walter made it worse. Still laughing, he said, "Why waste expensive gifts on kids who won't appreciate them?" The room got awkward. Ethan lowered his eyes. My wife squeezed my hand, and at that moment, I decided I was done staying quiet, because for nearly 2 years I'd been noticing things nobody else seemed willing to acknowledge. I stood up and walked toward my bag. Walter's smile immediately faded. "What are you doing?" he asked. I looked directly at him, showing everyone the truth. The room became silent. I pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. Inside were dozens of receipts, bank statements, photos, and screenshots of messages. For years, Walter had bragged about treating all his great-grandchildren equally. The evidence told a different story. I handed copies around the room. People started reading. One receipt showed Walter spending nearly $2,000 on a gaming system for one of Lisa's sons. Another showed him buying a brand new bicycle a few months later. There were receipts for phones, tablets, holiday trips, designer clothes. The pages kept going. Then came the bank records. Several showed Walter taking out personal loans. Others showed credit card debt. He wasn't spending money he could afford. He was borrowing money to keep buying expensive gifts for certain children. Children he considered his favorites. Meanwhile, Ethan got a broken toy car. The room became quieter with every page. Faces started changing. My uncle stopped smiling. My aunt looked shocked. Even Lisa looked uncomfortable. Then they reached the screenshots. Messages Walter had sent to relatives. Messages where he openly talked about how some children were worth investing in, while others weren't. One message mentioned Ethan directly. I watched people reread that message multiple times. Nobody could believe it. Walter immediately started making excuses. They're being taken out of context. Nobody answered. He blamed other people. Nobody reacted. He tried laughing it off. Nobody laughed. The evidence was sitting right in front of them. For years, people had suspected favoritism. Now they were staring at proof. Just 30 minutes earlier, Walter had been the loudest person in the room. Now nobody even wanted to look at him. Finally, Walter grabbed his coat and headed for the door. Nobody stopped him. Nobody followed him. Nobody asked him to stay. Then Ethan quietly stood up. He was still holding the broken toy car. "Great-Grandpa?" Walter turned around. Ethan held out the toy. "You probably need this more than I do." The room fell completely silent. Walter looked at the car, then at everyone else. No one moved. No one smiled. No one rescued him. A few seconds later, he opened the door and left. Alone. The broken toy sat on the gift table for the rest of the party. Nobody touched it. A few weeks later, several relatives called to apologize for ignoring what had been happening for years. Some stopped speaking to Walter altogether. Others kept their distance. As for Ethan, he moved on surprisingly fast. Kids usually do, but every now and then, he still asks about that birthday.